Hey everyone, welcome to our very first, I guess, Facebook Live for our Perfect Pitch show. That was a really crappy. Alright, cut! We're doing it live! Okay, so this is our very first live Perfect Pitch episode, and I am so excited that we have a very dear friend and a special guest. Now, he's been on Perfect Pitch, our podcast show, before, but we wanted him to come back just because he's so pretty.
Thank you,
right?
thank you.
So he could be on camera. This is Robert Wynne. He is the CEO of Wynne Communications and Wynne Events. He's also an amazing PR author. He is on both sides, right? He also writes for Forbes. But this book, Rob, I'm going to let you brag about it because you sent over all the stats and everything. It's only been out for a very short amount of time, and it is moving its way up the ranks, right? So tell us about all your success.
Well, I wrote about the book because I wasn't really happy with everything that was out there with PR. The same reason that you started your blog and now your Facebook Live and all your appearances. Because most of the stuff is fantasy. Yeah. It's like magical. Just post something on Facebook once or on Twitter and everything will happen.
All the leads are going to come in.
Yeah, magically. And it doesn't talk about consistency, it doesn't talk about writing, it doesn't talk about the importance of traditional media.
Right.
And we also have some fun stats in here. And my buddy Dave Boone, who writes for the Oscars and the Tony Awards.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, and how about Dancing with the Stars?
Right, okay, that one
he writes for that. No. And so he wrote an intro in there for me, so it's a lot of fun. But it's really, when you go to USC or UCLA or Loyola or other universities that you and I talked to, a lot of students before, they don't understand what's really happening in PR.
Right.
So that's one of the reasons I wrote the book.
I love it. And now, are you getting this in the hands of students and forcing professors to shove it down their throats and make them read it? It's
kind of interesting. Most of the people now who are reading it are senior people who work at universities that I know. Good. And entrepreneurs are buying it. So that's been very interesting. The universities, the reason why a lot of them are not doing a good job with PR classes,
write their own books.
They write their own books, and there's two types of books. It's the books from the 1980s, or it's the fantasy books that, oh, hey, let me give you some buzzwords. Let me tell you what time of day to tweet, and these are types of things. Right. So it has not been adopted yet for the classrooms, although the students who have bought it and looked at it like it. Yep. So I would say it's doing well with university people who actually do PR. Right. It's doing well with entrepreneurs.
Got it. Yeah, and I think that that's so important, Rob, honestly, because we hire, right, a lot of newbies from college and whatever, and it's it's a rude awakening when they realize that what they learned in the classroom versus what really happens in PR are two completely different things. But I still think that there's something to be said about following through and getting your degree. That's important, right?
Yes,
that you can commit to something, see it through, and make it happen. But then you walk in and you're like, wow, what do we have to do?
How does it really work?
Yeah. And the main thing I think with PR and why people try to, my guess, is try to shortcut it is because when it's done right, it's hard work.
Let me give you an example. You have 100 examples, but let me give you one. So I have a client that is a medical school, and they're 2 years in Australia, 2 years in Louisiana, and we just got them a big story in the Wall Street Journal. With photo.
Good.
And the photo, it took almost 4 months.
Right.
Stop and start, stop and start, stop and start. And that whole time, if you're tweeting, if you're on Facebook, if you're doing local radio and some other things like that, it won't have 1/10 of 1% of the impact of one big Wall Street Journal story. Right. And the Wall Street Journal story, then, of course, you can use it on social media and email and let everyone else know about it if you see it the first time. But that credibility that you get from PR, getting in the mainstream media, is so important. Right. And people don't realize how difficult it is.
Right. And, shout out to our awesome client, Heel, who a couple of weeks ago, they got their story on the cover, the business cover of the Washington Post. Now, Nick Desai, right? Nick Desai, who's the awesome CEO of Heel, poor thing, he was going through the process with us. It took a good 90 days for it to happen. He's like, is it going to happen? Are they going to drop the story? And man, it happens, right? Sometimes where a story does get dropped and you're like, all that hard work. But once it hits, which we're so glad it did, now we took that as a useful tool to go and take to the broadcast outlets. And now we've got a lot of really great broadcast
still follows
stuff.
Print.
Yes. So it's a matter of coming up with the right story, getting the elements together, being patient with the story actually being told, and then taking that element, that piece, and telling more stories to get that out there. And I think that that people just take for granted that, well, if I just get the one, imagine if we just left it at the Washington Post and didn't do anything with it. What a waste, right? What an absolute waste of a perfectly good asset. So we took that, and we're still sort of sharing that with outlets.
But I think a lot of people, especially students and potential clients, don't know how hard it is.
Oh, yeah.
Like, to get into the Washington Post Business Magazine,
I had to offer my second-born child.
Exactly.
I'm just
but you probably knew someone who had a relationship.
Well, so shout out to, yes, we have a lot of great relationships with media, right? And so...
Does that count? And it's not because you met them on Twitter or on
well,
Facebook.
we can.
No,
we do that often.
You do that often, but you probably knew this person. For a big story, you knew them.
He was a homie.
Exactly. Okay, there you go. So you knew the reporter.
Yeah.
Okay, so that helps. But that's why you hire a PR agency.
Right.
For the relationships.
There you go.
Yeah.
But some PR agencies, we have to not take for granted the relationships, because obviously there are times when we pitch something to a homie and they're like, oh, this is not, like, why would you give this to me? But for the most part, you can be more honest with someone that you know. And, the relationships have to start somewhere, right? And I think that, again, some clients are like, well, just get me one big story and then that'll drive all of my leads. Yeah. No, one TechCrunch story, one Washington Post story, one Wall Street Journal story is not going to drive every lead that you have. But it is going to be something there that you can start with. And that's why consistency is everything, right? Yeah. And working with your friends in the media and saying, look, I have this idea. I've been reading your stuff for a very long time. What do you think? Yeah. And even if they come back with a no, you're at least getting feedback to your client, which is really, really important. Yes. And if it's a yes, then you can collaborate on what that story looks like to make sure that both sides benefit. I think that's another thing that clients forget. It's not about you. No. It's about the media and the story they want to tell, which you just so happen to be an element in.
So one thing we did in the book, shameless promotion of the book, available on mavenhousepress.com and amazon.com. Right. The number one complaint from journalists, you probably know it.
Blasting.
Yes.
Not doing your dang homework.
Yes. Sending the wrong pitch to the wrong reporter. Yeah. So I write a public relations column for Forbes.
And we love it. We read it all the time.
You've been in there before.
Yes.
So I get things for dentists. I get things for...
I mean, dentists need PR, though, right?
They do. They do. And I used to work for...
Don't be such a hater.
Yes, I know. Yeah, that's my problem. I'm sorry. No more hating. So if you have any dental press releases, please don't send them to me.
But, you're like, send them to me.
Yeah, exactly, for the podcast.
Right, exactly.
But you'd be surprised at how often people send you things when they blast, but they send the wrong information to the wrong reporter. Yeah. And then that just ruins a relationship. So when you finally do get it right, they've already crossed you off the list or blocked you. Absolutely.
Well, and the other thing, too, is that just goes back to plain old-fashioned laziness. Yeah. Do your homework, right? If you want to start a relationship with anyone, whether it be a relationship with a reporter, show that you care by going the extra mile and doing a tiny bit of research, right? And making sure that, okay, you have the email address correct, great. Yeah. You are following them on Twitter and maybe engaging with some of the things that make sense, right? Like, oh, I have a dog too, I'm going to like that. Yes. And then you go to them individually and say, I've been reading this, or I've listened to this, or I've watched you here. Yeah. I have an idea for you. Here's what I think. What do you think? And you leave it open, and then at that point they can respond. And a lot of the times they're so thankful that they didn't get a blast from you that they're open to at least telling you, this doesn't fit for me or whatever, right?
And you stroke their ego by saying, I read what you do. Right. I look at what you do. Right. And here's a story idea. And you don't shove it down their throats, because 9 out of 10 times what you pitch isn't exactly the story they want. Right. So they're still going to mention you. They may put you as part of a trend, which is really important, because it's just so rare that someone's going to write a story about, hey, let's talk about Nicole Rodriguez.
I mean, that sounds like a great idea.
It's a great story. And her wonderful public relations firm. But that's going to be very rare. But what they might say is, let's do a story about Nicole as a trend on women-owned firms in California doing X,
Right.
which is just as good or better.
Right.
So you have to be flexible.
Yeah, no, definitely. And again, it goes back to the media have a job to do, and that isn't to just promote your company.
It's never to promote your company.
That's not what it's about. It's
Yeah.
about sharing the news and informing their readers or their viewers, their listeners, whatever. So I think that's where, again, clients have to be flexible.
Sure.
This is where it's also our job. A lot of what we do is educating our clients. It's not one of those things where you expect your engineer client who's the CEO of a company to just know everything about PR, especially if it's their very first company, right?
Absolutely.
So I like to work with clients and help them understand the process because sometimes the process is painful. So at least we can walk them through it and say, look, we've started here, we're working on this here. I promise you, this is what we're going to do, right?
Yes.
And so it helps ease that pain, right?
Yes, they don't know all the time about all the rejection they get.
Right. Oh yeah, all the rejection we have to deal with.
Yes, so we tell them it's in process.
Right.
But if they saw it, like I did a column recently that you saw, that all publicists saw, all PR agencies saw, about why you can't do PR yourself.
Right.
And I spent a lot of time coaching this young entertainment attorney in Beverly Hills. And then she said, "Oh, thank you for your wonderful advice. Now I'm going to do it myself." And you thought, "Oh,
Good
first
luck
of all,
with that, sister."
yeah, exactly. It's just so hard to do because if you did it for yourself, and trust me, because I've sent out my book to a lot of places. I've been on a few places, but many more have said no.
Right.
It's not pleasant.
Right.
But that's part of the process. It takes a lot. You have to go through sometimes 100, 200 reporters to get 2 or 3 stories.
That's true, and especially if you're a new entity or you're a new product. And even if you have started other companies before and this is a new one, like, whoa.
Especially if it's a tech company. There are tech companies, there's so much vaporware out there. And there's so much cynicism about promises that are never made, that will never be realized, that, oh my God, it's very tough.
Yeah, definitely. So I think that's even part of like the reporting process, right?
Yeah.
So in our reports, our weekly reports that we give to our clients, we even let them know where some of those no's came from and why, so that if it's a no that we can work with, something that we can change, or it's a no just for right now, they should know that, right?
Yes.
And so we give them that feedback. But yeah, I think, again, to all of the up-and-coming PR people, rejection it's not you, right?
No.
It's not just you because you're terrible. It's the situation might not be good. So I always tell,
they can still be terrible.
If they're terrible, they don't work here, but it's, but it's one of those things where, if you can get past the fact that this story might have been rejected for right now, but you're starting that relationship building process, maybe there's something else that you can go back to that reporter with. So develop that friendly, thick skin, and also your ninja stalking skills, because those come in handy. But polite stalking, we don't want to make it weird. But it's definitely important for people to understand. I think, to your point, where CEOs or business owners are like, oh, I can do it myself. I'm sure you can, right? But your job is to run whatever company you're trying to start, right? Your job is not to go and do all of the PR, because if then you're doing the PR, guess what you're not doing? You're not running
Very good point. I'm going to write that down.
Okay, well, now I'm going to put my tip jar on that side. So drop your dollar in there for all the knowledge I'm about to give you. No, but I think that's even, with starting NRPR Group, I hired Katie. We have our Katie. She is our internal PR and marketing person. Not that I can't do it, because we all know that I can do it, but I shouldn't be doing it, right? That is not, my job is to make sure that the company runs, clients are happy, that the team members are all doing what they do best, and I'm working with Katie to do our PR and marketing in-house and social media, so that we do what we tell our clients they should be doing, right? So as a CEO, I do not do my own PR. It's not, not my job.
I like it. I like it.
Right. So, getting into a couple of things here, we actually got some questions from social media. So we have fans. Rob. So I'm going to start with some of the questions. Okay?
All right.
So this one comes from Brandon M. Thank you. Shout out, Brandon, for asking your question on LinkedIn. Do you have any tips for staying on your toes, tippy toes, when something goes wrong at an event? Right, so Wynne events, I'm sure. And
Now we've never had anything wrong in our events.
Perfect. But he follows up with saying, I feel like no matter how much you prepare, there's always a chance something doesn't go as planned.
Sure.
Ready, go.
All right. So our events, we do most of my business now, it's about 60-40 events to PR. So the events business has really taken off. So we do events for business schools, for medical schools and hospitals, and engineering schools and tech nonprofits at, shameless plug, WynneEvents.com. And
check them
so
out.
what we've done is we started off, we had 4 or 5 panels of 4 reporters each who come in and they speak to them. Now what we've done is we have 5 reporters for every panel, and we also have occasionally backups to come in and people that can move and be flexible. So what I would say is if you have speakers, always have a backup ready.
Someone can get sick, not show up, not get there in time.
Yes, exactly. There's 1 or 2 outlets that do that a lot too. So they're not on there as well. I would say also for audio-visual, always have backup. Because some hotels, I was in a hotel in D.C. recently, they did not have a microphone system. So we had to buy and rent one like the day before.
But did they not tell you that before the event? They were just like, oh,
it's probably my fault. I assume because every single hotel in North America,
except for that one
in Washington D.C. did not have one. So I would say that. But I would say always have backup and technical, and always have at least 1 or 2 people more working there than you think you need.
For running errands.
For live events.
Someone get me tape.
Yes. Oh, if it was only tape, I'd be happy.
Right.
That's the only thing that went wrong.
Okay. Well, very good. Thank you for that. So we have another question from Alex Noel on Twitter. Thank you, Alex. So she asks, what do you see as the biggest challenge in PR today from the agency point of view and from the client's perspective?
Got it. Okay. From the agency point of view, this happened about 2 or 3 years ago, and I think the pendulum is turning back now, is companies cut down on PR because they thought, I'll just post something on Twitter or Facebook or on Instagram. And so a lot of agencies I knew, all about the same time, myself included, lost clients, especially universities tried this en masse. And they were extremely disappointed. So what a lot of people fail to realize is social media is extremely common. Facebook, there's 5 billion pieces of content posted every day. There's more than 500 million tweets that go out every day, and that's not including Donald Trump.
Oh, goodness.
Yes. So that'd be 510.
Like 30% of all of the tweets come from
And then there's 500 million people on LinkedIn. So the volume out there, it's very hard to get noticed. So I think from an agency side, telling clients you really need to be in the traditional media and then use social media most of the time as an accelerator, not an originator. So I think that was the biggest part. And then everyone says, well, what's your social media strategy? Everyone thinks that, there's an algorithm out there. Everyone else has got it but me. And there is no algorithm out there. So every client is different, every story is different. So that, I think, from an agency point of view, was the toughest part now. From a client perspective, I would say finding the right agency and getting to your message as soon as possible. If you go to a PR agency, like the NPR group. NRPR group. I missed the R.
Everybody always says NPR, but we'll take it. They're popular.
Exactly. NRPR group. Make sure you know what your story is. Make sure you know your competitors. This has happened to me many times in the tech space. Someone says to me, I have no competition. And then at that point, you're just saying to yourself, you don't know your business. You don't know the space. So I would say do a little bit of homework about what your value proposition is and what the competition is out there. And then be realistic about your goals. It's great to say if you're a tech company with 300 employees that you could be on the front page of the Washington Post business magazine. But not if you have 3 employees and you're a dry cleaner in Pomona. It'd be a totally different...
But they all want to get there. How come you can't get this for me, right? I think one of the things is, being humble too. If you're a brand new company, that's my thing with clients. It's, some of them, we've turned down business, right? Where I remember getting a phone call from a guy who was going to start a new dating app. And I won't say where, but I was like, okay, well, tell me about why you're different. And So he kind of broke it down. He goes, I'm just going to be quite honest that I could probably do all this PR myself.
Yeah.
It's really not that hard.
Yes.
But I really I need to give it to someone and I need to whatever. And I'm like, okay, well then, but what are your business objectives for using PR and how would you like to see a strategic sort of push here? And he goes, well, I think if I'm just on a couple of day shows, like daytime shows, the app is really just going to blow up. And I was like, okay. Right. All right, homie. Yeah. Well, good luck doing your own PR because I'm not going to do it.
That's got to be my next challenge.
But be humble, dude. Yeah. You're brand new in a very crowded space. You need to make sure that you are building something that has its own niche that you can actually build a story around. And maybe it's how the idea came to be. That's always a fun story to tell. But when people are like, I'll just get on a couple daytime shows.
PR horror stories from clients. That could be your whole series.
I know. I should write a book about that.
That was it. Yeah.
Yeah, it is good times, but it's fun, right? You get to giggle, good luck with that app.
Exactly.
Okay. Exactly. And it hasn't been out there. So anyway, so let's go on to another question.
Okay.
So this is from Delia in La La Land. We know her.
Oh, okay.
On Twitter, and she asks, how do you make a pitch Forbes worthy?
Okay, this is probably the biggest question I get. There are 3 areas in Forbes to look at. First, the leadership section. If you can get in that one, you're doing great. That's the most read, as far as I know. Then after that is the tech section, and then it would be the entrepreneur section. I've been writing the entrepreneur section for about 8 years, so I've had a chance to build up an audience. When I started, there was maybe 50 to 100 contributors. There's a little bit more now. So the first thing I would do is she looking to get a column in Forbes as a contributor, or is she just looking to pitch something for Forbes?
So it sounds to me like she wants to just pitch something that, like a client or a trend that would be picked up also by Forbes.
Okay, so the first thing she needs to do is find the right section and then find the right reporter.
Right.
So if it's tech, leadership, or entrepreneurs. Second of all, Forbes kind of has an attitude or a style. So if you can give them something unique, different, unusual, fun, something that will help businesses make more money and market themselves better, that's what my editors at Forbes always like.
Yeah.
So I write, for example, for entrepreneurs, how to do better in PR, social media, and marketing, and give them useful advice.
Right.
That's why when someone sends something, an employment, so we just hired someone or we got a new client, I always say thanks for sending it, but that doesn't help the reader. If you can do something to help the reader, that makes it Forbes worthy. And really think of that Forbes attitude.
Right.
That would make it much better. To be a columnist is a little bit different. You have to reach some of the editors, and if she wants to send me a tweet or an email at Rob Wynne, ROBWYNNE, or my email rob@wynnepr.com, I'll give her more advice on that.
Okay.
But for a pitch, you have to look at the staffers, and then you have to look at the contributors.
Got it. No, that's all very, very good advice. And I think one of the things that we always tell our clients too, and our employees here, we're not always going to be able to go from 0 to Forbes. And that's why, especially as, say you have an executive who wants to write a piece that ends up in Forbes, it has to match the attitude.
Yes.
It has to give the reader something that they're going to learn. And if it doesn't, then go back to the drawing board, redo it. But a lot of the times we work with CEOs who just get offended that Forbes didn't want it. Well, why not? Why not me? And sometimes it makes sense often to place those articles within trade publications, right?
Yes.
As long as you are getting published, it is helping your thought leadership grow, right?
Yes.
So people will start to follow you. They'll listen to you. And then when you go to Forbes or even like Huffington Post, if you want to write for Huffington Post, you have to have a couple of pre-published articles so that they know that you can write, right? So it's all about growing that, and again, being humble and knowing that all coverage is great, because you can again use social media as an accelerator and get more people to read that, and then they see like, oh, I saw that here, I saw this here. You make it a thing, you put it everywhere.
There's so much media out there that not everyone sees every article that you think they do.
Exactly.
And so when you email it or put it on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, you're extending the reach. And it's easier to extend the reach from Forbes, the Wall Street Journal, or the Washington Post than it is for you or me or Chris or Katie saying, hey, this is what I think.
Right.
It's better to say, this is what Forbes thinks.
Right. No, I absolutely agree. Well, that is great, and hopefully she will hit you up on Twitter
Sure,
and get more advice. Okay, so this is from @localcelebrity on Twitter. Hey, shout out.
All right.
So surely you get plenty of pitches and emails daily.
Sure.
What is the best way to develop a subject line that gets an email opened?
Very important. The most important thing for any journalist or any contributor or anyone else, I don't open most of the emails that I get. And now, I don't know what's happened recently, maybe because the book came out. I used to get about 5 or 10 pitches a week. I get 5 or 10 pitches a day now.
Moving up.
So I'm moving up, yes.
You better read my emails when I send them, though, Rob. I'm going to be very offended.
I just read yours.
Okay, good.
Yes, that's
good.
it. And my clients.
Yeah.
So the email has to be unique, original, and it has to ask a question or solve a problem.
Okay.
So unique, original, ask a question and or solve a problem.
Right.
Something about, you think this is the real problem with repealing the Affordable Care Act, but it's actually blank.
Right.
Something like that. So you really have to get through the clutter, because most of the journalists I talk to, people, let's say, Derek Thompson at The Atlantic, who's in my book, or Rick Newman from Yahoo, he also appears on CNBC and CNN, they tell me they get over 1,000 emails a day, and they'll open about 100. So if it's the number one thing is it from someone I know?
Right.
If it's from someone I don't know, is the subject line interesting?
Yeah.
And it can't be self-serving. And again, the number one thing that I get that's totally unusable are new hires, or you brought in a new client.
Right.
Totally unusable.
Yeah. No, that, and look, I have my thoughts around, if you're bringing on a new hire, loop that into something bigger. Are you also sharing data? Are you sharing growth statistics, whatever, so that it points back to your company in being in a growth stage, right? So we've seen 7,000. I don't know. Well, I guess we'll use Heal, right? So Heal has seen. I don't want to say the number. The last number that we announced was 23,000. There have been 23,000 patients, right? That's a lot for a company that has only been seeing patients for 2 years. So within that, it's, okay, what else did we want to put in here? Okay, well, we have a new board member, or we have new states that we're going to be rolling out to. Couple that together so that when you are going to media, you're offering them a package. Here's a company that's kicking butt, and they're kicking so much butt that they're also growing, and here's what that is, and they can be part of this whole, well, I guess not telemedicine. We're way better than that, right? Because we're bringing human back to the
Digital
whole doctor.
Medicine
Exactly.
Yes.
Well, and where all of these companies are trying to replace a doctor with a phone, and you can tell your symptoms to a doctor, whatever. No, that doesn't work. No. And I think the beautiful part about Heal is that they're actually bringing the patient sort of doctor relationship, making that more of a focus, right? By bringing them into the home. So that, in the sense of it, is the story, but showing that the company is actually creating moves or making moves, that's what you can then take.
They're the surfboard at the beginning of a really, really big wave.
Totally. Okay, well then that was helpful. The other thing too with subject lines that I try to tell the team at NRPR is actually making it stand out. If there's an exclusive, right, use caps in the subject line, exclusive for TechCrunch, exclusive for Washington Journal. Washington Post.
There probably is a Washington.
I know,
all those fake news outlets now.
Right, fake.
Yeah.
But Wall Street Journal, and then from there, it's the story idea, right? So that it's something that at least stands out and it catches that reporter's eye. And more often than not, that actually does work. So I know a thing or two as well. All right, so here we go. From James on Facebook, what are your tips for using social media if you're not a major consumer-facing brand? Right, you're a B2B brand. How do you use Facebook?
I would not use Facebook that much for business, especially if you're putting information on. Facebook Live is something new that a lot of people are trying, and it's a broadcast outlet that is working for some businesses and some media. So if you have something in that space, that would be possibly, if it's professionally done, the only way I would use Facebook. The problem with Facebook for using business information is you're competing with people who have photos of vacations, photos of their cats, and photos of their cat on vacation.
We love photos of cats on vacation.
I know, especially when they're surfing.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. But if you're a business, there are more journalists doing business by a wide margin on Twitter than any other platform. Our friends at muckrack.com, they do studies every year where they interview thousands of journalists. 80% of them say the number one platform for them on social media is Twitter. Yeah. So I would say, first of all, use Twitter.
Yep.
Second of all, do searches on Twitter to find what stories they're covering that are in your industry. And then follow all those journalists. And then once you follow them, contact them by, not in social media, not on Twitter, contact them by email. That's their number one way to do it. Yeah. So Twitter is good because you can see what journalists are talking about, and they also post most of their stories on Twitter, not on Facebook or Instagram.
Right. Well, I think that's a really, really good tip. We have a couple of minutes left. I want to make sure that we get to the giveaway part. But one thing about social media, too, again, for all of the CEOs, business owners, future business owners who are listening, it's important to have a presence on social media, even if you are a B2B company.
Sure.
People expect to be able to find you in all of those places. They want to do their research. They want to Google. They want to see things. I think it's a matter of understanding each platform and its uniqueness and what it can do for your business. So for Twitter, if you're a CEO, follow reporters on Twitter too, because then your PR team can sort of work with you to build that relationship, because reporters like that. They like genuine relationships. They can even build with CEOs.
And like their stories when they're posted. They
and
love
share
that as
them
well.
too if they're really good. And Facebook, I mean, we all know that if you have a business page on Facebook, you're going to have to pay for the traffic, even if you do have the following. So that's how Facebook makes their money, and we just have to sort of bow to the Facebook gods in order
their
to
world.
get that.
Facebook, Google, and Apple. We're just living in it. Yeah.
So, but yeah, and I think with every business, it's understanding where your audience is, how your audience is also using social media, and then using it in that way. So, well, these were all great questions. So thank you to everyone who sent us a tweet or something on LinkedIn with all those questions. Without further ado, I want to get to the giveaway, because we're giving away this amazing popular book that Rob has written. Recently a top 40 bestseller on Amazon, which is great. Congrats.
Thank you. Thank you.
So technically, I mean, I can give you the book synopsis, or he can give you the book synopsis.
You do it.
Okay.
Go ahead. Tell me about it.
All right. So because I have a cheat sheet here, I'm going to do it very well. So the book synopsis is this. The book is perfect for entrepreneurs, small business owners, students, those working in the PR business who want to update their skills, and any consumer of media who wants to understand the secrets of persuasion. Wouldn't we all want to know that? With a foreword by Emmy Award-winning writer Dave Boone, you'll learn to master the skills of PR and strategies to write well, deliver your messages in the right way, at the right time, to the right audience. Did I do well?
You did fantastic. You're hired.
Yes! Okay, bye NRPR.
NRPR.
Yes. Yeah. And so, okay, in order to enter to win a free copy of this awesome book, first you have to like NRPR Group on Facebook, because it'll make us feel good. And you have to follow at NRPR Group on Twitter. Then like and follow at Rob Wynne. That's ROBWYNNE. I wanted to make sure I spelled that right.
Thank you.
On Twitter. Then share this video. Share the live stream, because we want people to learn from all these smart things that we said today.
That you said. Yes.
Right? We both said. He's so humble. And that's it. We're going to select a winner at random, but we're going to make sure that you check all those boxes and that you follow all of those directions, because it's very, very important. So, timekeeper. Do we have a couple more minutes? Are we good? About another minute. Rob, anything that you want the viewers to take from your amazing brain that they need to just, one good thing to help them do PR that much better that you want to share with them?
The number one question we get a lot, and you get this all the time as well, is probably...
What's my phone number? I'm not getting it out. Okay.
That is,
the other second.
That is true. The second question that you get is, what's the difference between advertising and PR?
Oh, good.
I get that all the time.
Right.
And advertising is what you pay for. Public relations is what you pray for.
And earn. Right.
Yes. So it's not easy to get, but public relations is much more valuable. It's at least 5 to 10 times more valuable than advertising. And the reason is it's credibility. It's third-party credibility from trusted sources like the Los Angeles Times, CBS, the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times. And that's why public relations is important. That's why I wrote the book. That's why I talk to professionals like you who I learn from all the time, is because public relations matters. And getting your story in the media proves that you have something valuable and that you can learn the persuasion business.
Absolutely. And I think the other thing, too, is remembering that all of this stuff works together. You can't just have PR in this day and age by itself. You need to have PR and social media to, again, be that accelerator. You also have to have some sort of digital presence where you live and people can go and see all of the great products or learn things. That's your website, right? Or your app where people can dive deep and see all of that stuff. But when they're all working together and you're sharing those things with your sales team, when your sales team is out there pitching new business, they should be able to loop in that Wall Street Journal story or bring in that Forbes article or whatever, because as they're trying to sell and close deals with their customers, that credibility, we're not buying it. It's not an advertisement, right? This is a third party, someone who's trusted in the industry saying good things about that company. So I think that that's a big disconnect between marketing and sales, that they're not working together, because PR falls under the wide marketing umbrella.
Sure.
And all that PR stuff should be shared with the sales team, so the sales team can then use that as little follow-ups and things as they're trying to close deals. So anyway, with that being said, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Perfect Pitch Live, our very first episode. I think it did well.
Thank you, Nicole.
Yes, Rob, thank you so much for joining us. And all of you guys, enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Thank you, and we will be back with another episode of Perfect Pitch next week on our podcast, and then we will obviously do Perfect Pitch Live again with another special guest. So, thank you.